Rental prices in the city have been dropping, with some apartments and condos going for hundreds of dollars less than even just a couple of years ago.
7 months of inventory, which is insane. And we just don't have the buyers to absorb it. We haven't seen that much inventory in 20 years.
Rents are crashing faster than I've ever seen. Properties that were getting $2,400 last year are now renting for $2,100. That's a 10% drop in just 12 months. Vacancy rates have tripled from 3% to 10%, and in some markets there are literally 3 sellers for every 1 buyer. But this is just the tip of the iceberg. Stay with me, because what's coming next will shock you, and most landlords have no clue it's happening. I just got off the phone with a property manager in Jacksonville who told me he's had to reduce his own rental property by $100 every single week just to get it rented. $100 every week until someone finally took it. Here's what's really crazy. This is only the beginning. You see, for the past few years, landlords had all the power. Tenants were desperate, rents were skyrocketing, and vacancy rates were practically non-existent. But that party is officially over. We're now seeing what I call the accidental landlord phenomenon explode across the country. Here's what's driving this massive shift. Interest rates have surged from historic lows to levels we haven't seen in decades. All those people who bought homes during the pandemic thinking they'd work remotely forever, they're now being called back to their offices in places like New York, Connecticut, and California. But here's the problem. They can't sell their houses. These homeowners are stuck. They bought at peak prices, and now they're facing a brutal choice. Lose $3,000 a month on mortgage payments for an empty house, or rent it out and only lose $800 a month. Guess which option they're choosing? This is creating a flood of new rental inventory from people who never intended to become landlords. They're competing with professional property managers and long-term investors, driving down rents across entire markets. But here's what makes this crash even worse. Smart tenants are already figuring out they have the power now. Oh yeah, they're walking in the property showings with rental listings pulled up on their phones, showing landlords 3 cheaper options within 5 blocks, and demanding rent reductions or they'll walk away. I'm hearing stories of tenants renegotiating their lease renewals and getting $200 to $300 knocked off their monthly rent just by showing comparable properties. The landlords are caving in because they know that a 2-month vacancy will cost them more than the rent reduction. Austin, Texas is getting absolutely destroyed. Some areas are seeing rental rates drop 15 to 20% from their peak. Tampa and Nashville are close behind. These aren't small corrections. These are market crashes happening in real time. But here's what makes this data even more alarming. These numbers only represent properties listed through official channels. Industry experts estimate that 70 to 75% of single-family rentals are managed by individual owners who do not use professional listing services. So the real inventory numbers could be double or, hey, even triple what we're seeing in the official stats. While accidental landlords are flooding the market with single-family rentals, there's an even bigger problem brewing. Massive overbuilding in the multifamily sector. Developers went absolutely crazy during the pandemic, thinking the demand surge would continue forever. In markets like Jacksonville, Florida, developers added over 7,000 multifamily units in the past 12 months. But that's nothing compared to what's coming. There are 11,000 more units currently under construction. Once developers break ground on these projects, they have to finish them because of bank financing commitments. Now, these new apartment complexes are getting desperate to fill units. They're offering 2 months free rent, 3 months free rent, no security deposits, and even throwing in big screen TVs and other goodies just to get bodies in the door. When you're a family looking at a $3,000 house rental that requires first month's rent plus security deposit versus a luxury apartment offering 14 months for the price of 12, the math becomes pretty clear, doesn't it? The amenities in these new complexes are incredible. State-of-the-art fitness centers, resort-style pools, modern finishes. But here's the catch. Even with all these incentives and all the free months being offered, the base rents are still astronomical. A luxury apartment might offer 3 months free, but you're still looking at $2,800 to $3,200 for the months you do pay. And that brings us to the core problem destroying this entire market. Even with all these discounts and incentives, people still can't afford these rental prices. The median household income in most markets has not kept pace with rental increases. When you require tenants to earn 3 times the monthly rent, a $3,000 rental means your tenant needs to make $9,000 per month. In most cities, that eliminates the vast majority of potential renters. Property managers are starting to lower their income requirements from 3 times monthly rent to 2.5 times, just to expand their potential talent pool. Now that's a significant shift that shows how desperate the market has become. Tenants are figuring this out and negotiating hard. They're pulling up rental listings on their phones, showing landlords comparable properties that are cheaper, demanding rent reductions, or they'll move. The power dynamic has completely flipped. While long-term rentals are struggling, the short-term vacation rental market is experiencing a complete meltdown. Airbnb occupancy rates have crashed from 57% to around 50% nationally, some markets seeing even steeper declines. Cities are fighting back against short-term rentals with massive fines, new occupancy taxes, and stricter regulations. Property owners are getting hit with $30,000 penalties simply for violating local ordinances. Insurance costs for vacation rentals have exploded. Some owners report their premiums jumping from $1,200 annually to $5,000, a more than 300% increase. Markets that saw massive short-term rental growth, like Phoenix and Austin, are now completely oversaturated. Phoenix went from 5,000 Airbnb listings in 2017 to guess what? 21,000 today. The math simply doesn't work anymore for most operators. So, what happens when short-term rental owners give up? Yep, they dump their properties onto the long-term rental market, adding even more inventory to an already oversupplied market. With over 2 million homes currently operating as short-term rentals nationwide, even a small percentage converting to long-term rentals creates massive additional supply pressure. Property management companies are completely changing their strategies. The successful ones are being brutally honest with property owners about market conditions, even if it means losing clients to competitors who make unrealistic promises. The smart operators are getting aggressive with pricing and marketing. Instead of sitting on overpriced listings for months, they're reducing prices weekly until properties do actually rent. One property manager told me about slashing his own pricing until it finally leased because the carrying costs of vacancy far exceed the lost rental income. Landlords are becoming much more flexible. They're becoming flexible about having pets, about having roommates, about lease terms. When 80% of American households have pets, excluding them eliminates most of your potential tenant base. The days of being picky about tenants are over. Now it's about finding anyone who can qualify and anyone who can pay the rent consistently. Maintenance and property conditions have become critical differentiators. Tenants have choices now, so properties need to shine. Fresh paint, clean carpets, landscaping, curb appeal, these things are not optional anymore. They're required to compete in the new market. For real estate investors, the fundamentals have completely collapsed. Properties purchased in the last few years are bleeding money, many owners writing monthly checks of $800 to $1,000 just to keep the lights on. Property taxes have exploded, insurance costs have tripled in some markets, and repair expenses are crushing budgets. The investment math that worked when rents were rising 15 to 20% annually is now a complete disaster when rates are falling 10 to 15%. Investors who built their models around appreciation and steady rent growth are watching their portfolios implode in real time. The recovery? Don't hold your breath. Markets with massive overbuilding, like Austin, Phoenix, Tampa, could see rental price pressure continue for years. We're looking at a lost decade for rental properties. Many investors are about to learn the hard way that real estate does not always go up. The rental market correction is real, and it's far from over. For landlords, treat tenants well, price competitively. For tenants, this is your opportunity to negotiate. For investors, the easy money is gone. But this rental collapse is just one piece of a much larger economic disaster. Financial stress is at record highs for 70% of Americans. If you bought before 2020, you were extremely fortunate. If you bought during the pandemic, you are trapped. Those who waited face brutal prices and high rates. The housing market is, I'm afraid, entering a very dark chapter. A tremendous amount of pain is ahead. The rental market boom is officially over, and what comes next will separate the survivors from everyone else.